Hello, all. I am recording here with Mr. Jackpool. He went and he was the only one to show up today. I don't know what happened, but I would love to see all of your faces later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk about some common misconceptions I'm seeing in regards to our assignment from two-step equations still, and then we are going to kind of do some multi-step work when we're doing distribution. I'm going to be doing this on a whiteboard. On here. I have never done this before for context, so please keep that in mind as I am trying very hard to learn this with you all. A lot of what the next few weeks are going to look like is Miss Kirkley basically picking and choosing things that are working and what's not working and just trying to go from there. We're going to do a lot of this together and kind of learn what works best. So I'm going to go ahead and start with us doing some practice problems that we have from the video that I sent out and work on those first. So if you remember, we worked on us learning how to do two-step equations by talking about Goombas versus Bowser. So basically, we talked about how in Super Mario Brothers, or anything Mario for that instance, the main bad guy normally is Bowser, right? And we're trying to get rid of that Bowser character. But we can't attack Bowser right away normally in Super Mario. Normally, we have to get rid of the Goombas. The Goombas here are adding on little pieces. So with that being said, this 10 would be a Goomba, and this 15 would be a Bowser. With that being said, we have to be able to inverse operation to isolate, which means to get alone, the variable, because that's what we're solving for. Isolating the variable means that's what you're solving for. You're working to get that variable alone so you can solve. So in this case, we talked about, I don't know why I put addition, that it was definitely subtraction. So in this case, we have a 10. Is this 10 positive or is this 10 negative? Jack, do you think it is positive or do you think it is negative? This 10?
Positive.
Positive. Beautiful. So if I want to get rid of a positive number, do I have to subtract or do I need to add?
Subtract.
Subtract. Because the opposite of giving money is losing money. So we're losing it. So we're going to go ahead and subtract. I don't know why it's doing this. Draw. Yeah. We are going to subtract 10 on both sides. That is going to get rid of our Goomba. But what we do to one side of the equal sign, we have to do to the other side in order to balance it out. It's a scale. We are trying to solve in that scale. So we're subtracting that 10 on this side. Where a lot of us went wrong is we went and we canceled this. Great. We subtracted. Great. But we forgot our positive and negative integer rules when we are dividing and when we are multiplying. And I am completely confused because that was the rule that we had down pat. So I know we haven't seen each other in a minute, but y'all already know if we have two different signs, they're fighting, they don't get along, it's a negative. If they have two same signs, they're getting along, it's a positive. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and divide on both sides by negative 15. I'm dividing by negative 15 because the sign in front of B, that number in front of B, that subtraction sign is a negative sign. It essentially is a negative sign. And with that negative sign there, we are able to divide on both sides and get B equals, and because this cancels, and 30 divided by 15 is 2, and they have two different signs. That 30 is still positive and that 15 is still negative, so different signs, that means they're negative. So that is the first one that we kind of had some issues with. And I wanted to make sure that we knew that there. So first of all, that. Second of all, let's go ahead and do our next one. Our next one that I went and I explained in our video, but I'll do one more like that, is 30. And again, please keep in mind that my drawings are ugly because I'm doing this with my keyboard and it's kind of hard. So 30 minus 5a equals 60 was our next one. As we are doing this, again, we are trying to isolate the A. I am not trying to move the A over. I'm trying to keep that A on that side of the equal sign because it is isolating it and making it be alone. So, with that being said, this is a positive 30. Again, it's the same rules. That 30 is still positive. So I think we understood where I was explaining in the video this. We cannot forget that that negative has to go somewhere. And it is going towards that 5a. So we cannot forget that. So I subtracted 30 on both sides. Again, sorry for my ugly drawing. So now I'm left with negative 5a equals, and then 60 minus 30 is 30. And we divide by both sides, negative 5. If I hear anyone else tell me that we're just dividing by 5, you are forgetting that essential negative, and losing $5 is not the same thing as gaining $5. So you need to remember that that negative sign has to stay with it. We divide on both sides by negative 5. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1, so that's how that cancels, and it leaves us A. And then 30 divided by negative 5 is negative, because they're different signs, 6. So these are ones that we did in the video. I'm hoping that that makes more sense, so on and so forth. The only other thing I will say is today's brain pop activity was adding and subtracting positive and negative integers. I did that because the second part is adding and subtracting positive and negative integers. And y'all, I am telling you this because I love you, but you need to be able to draw a number line if you are not going to get it right. If you know that you're not going to get it right, if you know that you've been getting them wrong over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, I would much rather you spend the extra time to draw a number line and to say, oh, this is negative 35, and I'm going to go back negative 7. So that means I'm going to the left and do that, rather than actually missing the problem. So if you are struggling to get that done, I need you to be sure that you are writing it out, because that is the way that you will get it right every single time. Every single time. So please be sure that we are doing that, all right? So these are the issues that I've been seeing the most. I want to make sure that we are not doing that any further. So please make sure that that is the case. Welcome, Miss Rosie. I'm going through our problems that I did in the video because I'm still seeing ample issues here. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce tomorrow's work. Tomorrow's work is us working with distribution. So with that being said, Miss Lewis, who is the teacher in the Echo Pod, she has graciously made our video for our assignment tomorrow. So if you hear a different voice, that is her. We're trying to take turns making the videos, so that way it isn't as hard on all of us to try to learn how to do it all. So don't get weird if that's the case. If something she says is confusing or whatever, you could still reach out to me. I'm still going to be able to answer those questions. But I just want to make sure that we are getting it. So let's start with something a little easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to be working on distribution. So again, distribution is where we have a number outside of the parentheses, and we essentially are trying to multiply it out in order to simplify the variables that are in front of us and the numerals that are in front of us, numerals being numbers. So someone come off mute and tell me, if I have this scenario of 7 parenthesis y plus 1 parenthesis equals negative 35, what would I get once I distribute that 7? Someone come off mute and tell me what I would get after I distribute that 7 on the left side of the
7y?
7y. Is that it?
I think.
Do I only have one thing in the parentheses, Rosie?
No.
No. So I keep that addition sign because there was a second thing, and that's how I know that that addition sign is our and. And does that 7 still need to multiply against that 1?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's 7 times 1?
7.
7 equals, and I leave whatever on the other side. Distribution has to have that number that's on the outside multiplied by everything that is on the inside of those parentheses. So if there were 15 numbers inside of those parentheses strung together by additions and subtractions, do you think I need to multiply that 7 times everything in those parentheses? I got to. So this is to make sure that we can do that. So again, this is another example here where we have this. We already kind of worked on this in the other video, but it looks like a similar situation, right? What would I do from here to continue to simplify this equation? Someone come off mute and tell me. What would you do from there?
Minus 7.
Yep, minus 7 on both sides. And Jack, when you minus 7 on both sides, what do you get on the left side of the equation?
1 or 0.
Well, that cancels, but what's left?
7y.
Good. And then what's on the right side of the equation?
Negative 42.
Negative 42. And again, this is what we talked about in the last video, is that a lot of us saw, oh, minus 7. Oh, we're going to go ahead and we're going to just subtract 7 from 35. Easy. No, it's negative 35 and negative 7, and those combine because they're both negative. So if that 35 was positive, yeah, girl, do your thing. Subtract them, but they're not. So they're both negative, so that's our indicator to go ahead and combine them. So we have 7y equals negative 42. What is next? What do I need to do next in order to get y by itself?
Divide 42 by 7.
Divide 42 by 7. Do I just divide 42 by 7, Rosie?
No, you divide 7 by 7.
7y by 7. And so what do I get on the left side of the equation, Rosie?
I think 6.
7y divided by 7 is 6?
No, I mean, 0.
Just 0. 7 divided by 7 is 0.
I mean 1, I'm sorry.
1y, good, 1y. We leave that y, or just y, either way. Now y is by itself. Equals, and then what's negative 42 divided by 7, Rosie?
6.
Positive or negative, girl?
Positive.
It's positive. That 42 is a positive.
Oh, it's negative.
It's negative. They have different signs. Catch yourself doing that. Do they have the same signs? Do they have different signs? Look in front of them. If they don't have the same symbol in front, then they're not the same, and they have to have a negative in front. So with that being said, this would be our answer here. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and give a problem, and I want you to solve it, and then we're going to talk about it, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to include the problem here. Give me 1 second to draw it. Go ahead and solve that problem for me. That's 4 parentheses x plus 4 parentheses equals 36. Go ahead and both of you try to solve that problem for me. I'm going to give about 30 more seconds. All right, let's go ahead and talk. So someone come off mute and explain to me what you did in order to get this answer.
So I multiplied 4 times x and 4 times 4.
Okay, and so what does that left side of the equation now look like?
4x plus 16.
Equals 36. Jack, do you agree with this step? Yes, good. All right, now Jack, go ahead and tell me what your second step was since Rosie answered the first step.
E minus 16 by 16.
Minus 16 on both sides, good.
Yeah.
So when I minus 16 on both sides, I do it right here. So positive 16 minus 16 gives us what?
0.
0. So what's left on that left side of the equation?
4x.
4x. And then do I just subtract 16 on that one side?
No.
No. What do I do?
Got to subtract 36 by 16.
Good. And what do you get when you do that?
20.
20. And now Rosie, tell us our last step.
4x divided by 4 and 20 divided by 4.
Good. And what do you get when you divide 4x by 4?
1x.
1x or just x, either way. Means the same thing. And then 20 divided by 4 is what, Rosie?
5.
5. Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. They're both positives. They have the same sign, so they stay positive. Good. X equals 5. I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit more of a complicated one, and we're going to do the same thing, all right?
Okay.
Cool. Let me, again, Rosie, I told Jack, please, and all the people, I'm recording this session to post, so if my drawings are ugly, give me some grace. I'm drawing them on my trackpad, so we're doing the best we can. All right, what if I had something like, can y'all tell that's a 56? That's a 56. So I'm going to give about 30-ish seconds for us to be able to solve this one. I'm going to give us about 50 seconds to be able to solve this one, and then we should, or 2 minutes, sorry, and then you should move on, all right? about a minute longer. All right, let's go ahead and move. So someone go ahead and tell me, what did they do first?
So I multiplied 2 times 2x, and I got 4x.
Good. 2 times 2x is 4x. Why did you get 4x, Rosie?
Because the numbers are similar, and I just multiplied the numbers.
Oh, you just multiplied the numbers and you kept the x attached, right? So what would be 2 times 3x?
6x.
6x. All you're doing is multiplying those two front numbers and then adding on the x at the end. Good. And then you did 2 times 8, right?
Yeah.
And what did you get there?
16.
16 again equals 56. Good. All right, Jack, go ahead and tell me what your next step is to do.
I minus 16 by 16, and then I did it on both sides.
Good. So you did positive 16 minus 16, and you got what? On the left side, once you did that?
0. 0.
You got 0 on this side, and so what's left on the left side of the equation?
4x.
4x equals, what's the new sum on your right side?
40.
20?
40.
40. Good. All right, now Rosie, finish us out.
So I divided 4x by 4, and 40 divided by 4.
Good. So what did you get at the end? What's on the left side of the equation after you do 4x divided by 4?
X.
X. And then what's 40 divided by 4?
10.
10. Easiest way to double check this, if you're like, I don't know if I got the right thing, you can plug it in. So let's plug it in really quick just to see if that's true. So we're going to put the 2 on the outside. We're going to put 2 parentheses because we're plugging in. That is the ugliest parenthesis I think I've ever drawn in my life, but it's okay. Plus 8. This is getting worse by the minute, y'all. Equals 56. Okay, so we're gonna do PEMDAS in order to solve this. So first thing, I see parentheses, I go to parentheses. In the parentheses, I see multiplication and addition. Do I do multiplication first or division first? Or addition first?
Multiplication.
Multiplication. So I'm gonna do that 2 times 10 first. When I do 2 times 10, what do I get?
20.
20. So I have 2 parentheses 20 plus 8 parentheses equals 56. Good. And now I go again, I see parentheses. So do I do the parentheses first? Yeah.
Yes.
What's 20 plus 8?
26. 28.
28. Good. And now I see there's multiplication there. So what do you think 28 times 2 is? Jack's like,
56.
It is 56. So we got 56 equals 56. Is 56 equal to 56?
Yes.
Yeah, so we know we got the correct answer for X. So that's what I want us to be doing from now on, is double checking those answers, because it's all really a lot of common mistakes. But I think that's about it that we are going to do today. I think that's a lot for us to do. today's assignment on Brain Pop is literally just working on adding our positive and negative numbers, because I realize we're still struggling with that and we need to get that skill on lock. And then tomorrow you will be working on these kind of problems with distribution. And then on Friday, we're probably going to work on inequalities. I'm going to set up the Zoom link tomorrow morning and send it out tomorrow morning for Thursday. I really slacked yesterday and did not send it early enough, and I sent it very early, and I think that's what contributed to not so many people come in, and that's okay, but we're going to have to be able to have more participation for Thursday. I'm going to send out this recording as well. All right? So with that being said, I do not have anything else specific for you yet. So go ahead and you can go ahead and go if you want to, or if you have any specific questions for me, you definitely can ask. All right. I'm going to stop recording now.